Seder is a very auspicious and important time, and we have to let our children know that. There was once a Rosh Yeshiva who spent Shabbos Haggadah in a small moshav in Israel. The locals asked him to deliver a Shabbos Haggadah drasha. The crowd wasn't very learned, and he didn't expound on intricate, difficult concepts that he would have said in his hometown, but he said the following story. There was once a Jew who was born in Austria. When he was a child, he traveled to Germany without his parents. He eventually immigrated to Israel and settled in Petach Tikva. He didn't have so much Jewish education, and when he reached Petach Tikva, he took upon himself to run a shul that had no caretaker. He handled all of the maintenance and made sure that there were shiurim classes in the shul given regularly. He somehow raised his son to become a Talmid Chacham, a Torah scholar, and his daughters all married Talmidei Chachamim, scholars. When he passed away, the Rosh Yeshiva paid a shiva call. He asked this man's son how his father remained a devout Jew and decided to devote so much energy and time towards running the shul. How did he merit raising children who became scholars or married scholars? Son responded by saying that his father told him that when he left Austria, his father initially planned to travel with him to Germany. Since there was a problem with his passport, he was unable to travel with him. As he pulled out of the station without his father, the father started running alongside the train to say goodbye. He called out and yelled out, "Be a good Jew. Keep the Torah, keep the mitzvahs." He kept running and repeating those words, "Be a good Jew." That was the last time they ever saw each other. The son sitting shiva said his father told him that even though he didn't know how to learn, he knew that he had to be a good Jew. The Rosh Yeshiva then said that the night of the Seder is when we impart to our children who we are and what we live for. With all of the conversations that we have with our children at the Shabbos table, or in general, when do we ever tell them what we believe in, what we live for? We see from the story how this man's parting words to his son influenced his son, his grandchildren, and all future generations to come. We have to view the Seder as it's going to be our last chance to impart to our children what we live for, in order that we can maximize the potential of this night. Rabbi Frand quotes this in the beginning of his Haggadah, and then he concludes his introduction by writing, "My dear reader, whether you are a parent or a grandparent leading a Seder, or a child or a grandchild sitting at the Seder with your parents or grandparents, utilize this night of Masorah, of tradition, the night when, for over 3,000 years ago, the Jews have been sitting at a Seder table and imparting from one generation to the next what we stand for, and the timeless emunah and belief messages, belief in Hashem and that He runs the world and everything, that have enabled the Jewish people to survive and thrive throughout the 3 millennia since our birth as a nation at Yetzias Mitzrayim, the Exodus. This is a time to let our children know what this is about, what we believe in, who Hashem is, how amazing Hashem is, how He takes care of every single minute detail in this world, has, does, and will. That's what we have to transfer over. Similarly, Rabbi Dr. Tversky, in his Haggadah as well, From Bondage to Freedom, page 16, writes that the memories of the Seder will never fade. Many gifts which parents, grandparents give to offspring, to their children, grandchildren, could be damaged and lost. Happens all the time. However, memories of Pesach never disappear. What's the difference? The kid get another toy, they already have hundreds. Kids are so spoiled nowadays, it's insane. The memories of Pesach never disappear. If we really wish to give something everlasting to our children and grandchildren, we have to give them appropriate memories. The pasuk says that we have to remember. In Shmos Yud Gimel, remember this day, which we departed from Egypt, the house of bondage, for with a strong hand, Yad Chazaka, that Hashem removed us from there. Rabbi Tversky explains This is on pages 11 to 13 in there. That this pasuk is perfectly understandable. The day that a nation was liberated certainly deserves to be commemorated and perpetuated for generations. Do we commemorate the Exodus too much? There are many halachas regarding preparing for Pesach and keeping away from chametz. Shavuos, Sukkot, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, they're all designated to commemorate the Exodus. Even Shabbos, we have to commemorate the Exodus. Every single day we have to. When we put on talis and tefillin, Shema. There are many other mitzvahs that we perform to commemorate the Exodus. Why are we prescribed with such broad, varied, and taxing practices, both active and restrictive, merely to celebrate the historic event of a nation coming into being? What is going on with this commandment, with this pasuk? There must be something other than national independence. The liberation from Egypt wasn't just merely a nationalistic incident. It was the creation of a nation with a universal mission. The entire nation, we are all to be holy. It was far more than just the formation of another political entity. The full-sail saga of Egypt, the bondage as well as the liberation, has to be understood as components of an ultimate purpose, the formation of a spiritual people. Every incident in this story can serve as a prototype for the development of spirituality, and the teachings that could be derived from each event have their application in our striving towards spirituality thousands of years later. Every single minute detail that happened in Egypt, we could learn something from, and practically applies and manifests itself nowadays. The mission of the Jew today is no different than that of our ancestors who left Egypt to become holy, spiritual. Even though there are forces that deter us from spirituality, and they are powerful, present, and constant, so too our efforts to vanquish these forces has to be constant. It has to be renewed and reinforced. This is why we continually refer back to the Exodus as the source and wellspring to help us struggle to achieve spirituality. The more thoroughly we understand the Exodus, the greater will be our resources to achieve spirituality. This is the function of the Haggadah, which is much more than a historic account. We have to therefore study the Haggadah with the realization that it contains teachings of the Exodus that aren't only applicable on Pesach, but are also applicable every day of the year, and many times every single day in multiple scenarios. The way in which we could attain true freedom and spirituality. That's what we have to realize over here. Take these lessons, apply them.